Well, good morning, folks. I want to welcome you to the men-only choir today. Our music team is short. Cindy's here, but she's got laryngitis, so she's just going to sing silently and from the front row. And Paige is out of town, so. And then the first song we're doing, which we did last week, but we like it so much we're doing it again, is actually a Simon and Garfunkel song. And Tom thought during rehearsal this morning that Jay and I sounded just like Simon and Garfunkel. So you can judge for yourself. Judge for yourself. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Slow down, you're moving too fast. You got to make the morning last. Start kicking down the college road. Look for fun and feeling groovy. Hello, lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to watch your flowers growin'. Have you got good vibes for me? Do-do-do-do, feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. People used to do what promises to keep. I'm happy, awake, and I'm feeling lonely. But in the morning I drop all its petals on me. Like I love you, all is groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy.
Well, good morning to you. Glad you are here, whether it's in person, out there on your sofas, maybe in the sunshine on a patio, wherever you are taking this in. Welcome. My name is Emily, and I'm the chairperson today. I've become aware this past week of the tremendous need for comfort. I've been with people who are afraid to really stand up for what they believe in for fear of retribution. I'm certain there are people in the Southeast, the South, waking up this morning who are feeling anything but groovy as they face the monumental task of putting their lives back together after the storm. And so I've chosen to read something from Marianne Williamson's new book, The Mystic Jesus. Because I think some of the questions, the big question that we all have is, how can I be the most effective? And this is a good alternative, a good way to look at it, I think. Everything in life is a projection of what we've already decided to see. We see in life what we expect to see. Expecting to see miracles is simply a change in focus from thoughts of limitation to thoughts of infinite possibility. Waking up each morning and casting your love before you is the most powerful way to plan your day. It directs the subconscious mind to notice those things that are good and generative, consciously disregarding elements of fear that are always lurking on the periphery of our minds. The words disciple and discipline come from the same root, after all. Enlightenment is mind training. in which we consciously take responsibility for the nature of our thoughts. We needn't surrender our thoughts to fear. Instead, we can surrender them to love. The discipline of spiritual practice is everything. If you don't turn the light on in the room, it's ridiculous to curse the darkness. Turning on that light, dedicating ourselves to love, we begin to discern patterns of goodness and opportunity that are otherwise obscured. We come to see how much good is always available to us. Everything we need is either right in front of us or is on the way, because that's how God's universe operates. Living with that realization is a powerful rearrangement of our assumptions, expectations, and mental filters. And I'm going to repeat this little bit here in the beginning. Waking up each morning and casting your love before you is the most powerful way to plan your day and to have effect in this world that needs your comfort, your grace, your integrity, and your courage. Thank you. And after that, we say our vision, mission, and our value statements. They're on the big sign up here, so read them out loud with me. They're things that we stand up for, and it takes courage much of the time to do that. Our vision, a world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual awakening. And our mission, advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. And our values, abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, love. And we celebrate our children. Unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. Continuing with the Daily Word, as posted in the Daily Word, published by Unity. And the word is comforted. I am comforted by the divine presence within me. I am grateful for the people who have understood how to comfort me when I am feeling down. They listened when I needed to talk and blessed me with their kindness. Often they didn't need to say a word or do anything more than be with me for a while. Their understanding presence was what I really needed. Even if I am without the comforting presence of another, I can find comfort in the divine presence within me. As I open my heart to God, I feel understood, loved, and accepted completely, just as I am. I need not feel self-conscious about needing comfort or how I express my feelings. I need only feel the unconditional love of God. As my trust in the divine presence grows, my sadness diminishes. Healing peace flows through my entire being as I am comforted. And from Isaiah, as a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you. You shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And so it is. And now another song.
favorite speakers from way out west. And it was funny because up on the screen earlier this morning it said Rev Ev. And the R-E-V-E-V. I've not seen that before. I thought that was kind of clever there for you, Evan. So we are so privileged and grateful to have you join us again today. Thank you for that. And we'll take it from there. Thank you, Reverend Evan.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here again this morning. Some people just call me Rev Ev. It just has kind of become a nickname that's kind of stuck in some circles. But anyway, happy to see you all this morning. I get to see your faces, so this is really cool. This is a great opportunity and a pleasant surprise this morning. And it helps me also because I get to see who laughs at my jokes. And Patrick, I'm looking at you, so I expect to see some laughter out there. I'm just kidding. We're at church. We're supposed to be serious, right? Yeah. So anyway, today I wanted to, so I've been talking a little bit about speaking from the book Don't Tell Me to Relax by author Ralph De La Rosa. And I kind of want to continue that just because I feel like it's so applicable right now. You know, we're going through just this really small thing in our country right now, something called a presidential election. And no matter who you're voting for, it's a little stressful right now, right? You know, and anybody telling you to relax, you're probably like, don't tell me to relax right now. That is the last thing I want to do. However, that is honestly really the first thing we should do is just relax because, you know, we know that on a spiritual level, everything is going to be okay and everything currently is okay. But one of the things about this book that really always makes me really sit up and pay attention is that it's a very interesting study on emotional resilience and how we each have this resilience within and how we can really utilize it to help us navigate our way through life and all of those little pesky growth opportunities, whether they are pleasant or not, that come our way. So one of the first things I want to really talk about today, and it's in chapter 8 if you have the book or if you're interested in getting the book, he talks about the roles of the defender and the sage. Now he uses some basic biology in this chapter, talking first about our role of defender. And he talks about our instincts and how really they haven't evolved much over the centuries. You know, for instance, I've read many times over the last few years, and I'm sure you've heard about it too, about how sitting for long periods of time is bad for our health. And this is due to the fact that our bodies just weren't made for this, right? Our bodies were made to move. You know, moving is the way that our ancestors survived. If you weren't moving, you weren't creating or keeping your shelter in place, you weren't eating, you weren't caring for your young. But on the other side of this, however, we have the role of the sage. Now, this part lies within a part of our brain that contains compassion, morality, willpower, personality, you know, those types of things, those things that we often use to gauge our humanity. And this is what also enables us to identify and to connect with others, you know, the people around us, you know, even animals, nature. But our author in the book states, he says, it's a little closer to a Buddha. Gentle enough to appreciate the innate preciousness of all human life and connect with others. Strong enough to weather stormy seas. It's like a sage, confident enough to assert itself and its worth, genuine enough to do the right thing, and here's the clincher here, even when nobody's watching. So we've got the defender and we've got the sage. You know, usually our need and desire to survive is the strongest of the two. And for good reason. I mean, that makes sense, right? We have to survive. That is like first and foremost in our brain. That's why when we hear a sudden loud sound, we jump. You know, it's that fight or flight movement or moment that kicks in, telling us, hey, you know, run, get out of here. It's time to preserve yourself. But we also want to stick very close to the sage because that's what survival is also about. Survival of the goodness that we are. The way we treat other beings, the way we live, and even how we live our lives. So fortunately for most of us, we aren't still living back in a century where we have to hunt buffalo and other large game to survive. And it's not like any of us is going to be running across a prairie with a spear in our hand anytime soon. However, if you do that, please let me know, because that would make for a very interesting story. Maybe even one I could use for a future talk. So please email me personally. But I really think we should take this sage thing today, and I think we should delve a little bit more into it. Now, our author, Mr. De La Rosa, tells us that we have 3 basic needs in order to survive. They are safety, feel-good rewards, and belonging. And what happens when we have these 3 things? We feel a sense of fulfillment because all of our basic needs are then being met. We know that we're being taken care of, that we're being properly rewarded for our contributions, and that we've got community. I think we learned even during the pandemic a few years back how very much important community really is to each of us. But how do these things play into our spiritual growth? I had a different school of thought enter my mind when I read the chapter. What if not only think about these things just for ourselves? What if we in turn them around and also share these things with others? Help us to ensure that others are also receiving these same basic needs. How would things start to look then? Now, there are currently people out there who don't feel safe. Maybe they feel alienated due to government policies. Maybe someone has lost the roof over their head. I think we can see that with the hurricane that hit last week. How might we contribute to ensure that these people also feel a sense of safety and reward? We've got people out there with the need to work 2-3 jobs, and even then feel as if they're barely able to make ends meet. What can we do to also help to maybe ease their burden just a little bit? And community. What can we do to ensure that we create spaces for all to feel welcome? Do we carry biases that maybe we need to overcome? What can we do to work through those or to help others work through theirs? Regarding belonging, our author mentions a quote by Brene Brown. She says, "We cannot lose our belonging to each other, but we can forget it." And we can, can't we? Page 125 in the book, I'm going to read a little bit from that. The chapter, this is moving into chapter 9, and it's called Why We Hate. And he says, just as a person breathing toxic air would find that in due time their lungs become toxic, it is impossible for us to live in a structurally racist, sexist, transphobic, and class-stratified society without internalizing the stereotypes we encounter about each other. This certainly plays a role in overt bigotry, consciously othering groups of people who don't resemble oneself or one's identified circle, and intentionally discriminating against them. It also results, universally and even against our will, in implicit bias. Implicit bias is the phenomenon of having subtle, unconscious feelings both for and against people and communities based on whether they resemble oneself or a group one identifies with. So let's pay special attention to that last part. Implicit bias is the phenomenon of having subtle, unconscious feelings both for and against people and communities based on whether they resemble oneself or a group one identifies with. Now, I want us to pay special attention to it because we need to ask ourselves why. Because when we ask ourselves why, we can then start to dig into the root of it, right? Chapter 9 of the book, is titled, like I mentioned, Why We Hate. Is it because we truly hate, or is it something else different entirely? There are 2 statements in the book that really stuck out to me in relation to this. We humans tend to think, feel, and act like what we perceive is true. And we don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. Those were very powerful statements to me. And they're extremely powerful because they can remove the lens from our eyes. The lens that has perhaps forced us to not see things as they may really be. And how does this happen? Part of it is conditioning. Those beliefs and biases that we're raised with, of course, that's conditioning, and often things that we carry with us into adulthood. I've seen those online quizzes, and I'm sure you've probably seen them before, going through Facebook or, even in magazines. They ask questions such as, do you prefer the beach or the mountains? Someone might see the beach and find it the most beautiful place on earth. Some may look at the beach and just see a lot of hot sand and heat, which is how it was last time I visited a Texas beach. The sand burnt my feet. But it's all a matter of perception. And often, again, how we were raised. Maybe our parents took us to the beach a lot as children. Maybe I was stung by a jellyfish as a child and would rather be anywhere but the beach. I think I'm kind of seeing a theme here. I kind of think I like the woods. But anyway. But that's a small example. But you can start to see how our perception can be set by certain instances in our lives. And once we become aware of this, we can then begin the work to break free of this. Our author mentions, none of us individually created implicit bias. It was here long before we were born. Yet if we want to be free of it, for ourselves and others, it is our responsibility. Now, our author lets us know that he delves more into this in a later chapter, but he does mention something in this one, and that's equality. He says equality is inherently vulnerable. It's a social state in which we must come down from our turret, look other people in the face, and be willing to see the world through their eyes. And I don't think anyone who's heard me speak here before will find this to be new information. We must be willing to see the world through a different lens than the one we might be used to. And one of the ways we can do this is to seek out ways in which we can view the world through the experiences of others, right? That's the biggest way we can do this, through the worldview of others. How might they see the world or navigate in life in ways we don't, or perhaps maybe haven't ever even thought of doing? And this can be a frightening experience for some people, though, right? Because it requires moving into new territory. It requires doing so with the notion that things might very well be different from what we've always believed them to be. And it may also require us to put ourselves out there a bit, risking some vulnerability. But it is through that vulnerability where we find that openness and that willingness. It may also require us to get involved in groups or organizations that introduce us to some of those things we fear. Or to realize that maybe our perception was, just that, our perception. And it's also about remembering that we are spiritual beings. And this is very useful when it comes to perceptions of people. Different races, colors of skin, gender, sexual orientations, body sizes, body types. At the end of the day, and at the root of it, we are all spiritual beings. Those things we see with our human eyes, those things that we perceive as different, are just that. It's just our perception. Thinking that we're separate also plays into that, because that is also perception. Thinking that we shouldn't be involved in something because, that's happening to that group over there, so I shouldn't concern myself with it. Well, that's the thing, because what's happening to that group over there is also happening to you, because there is no separation. We can also perhaps decide that in that oneness that we are, we want to experience life. We want to truly experience rather than just merely sit back as spectators via our own perception. From my experience, I've had people ask me, Evin, why do you care? Not all of those things affect you, so why should you care about the experiences of other people? Why should it matter to you? So for this answer, I refer to the words of Jesus. He's our master teacher here at Unity. And he mentioned in the Bible in John 13:34, he said, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you, that you also love one another." Love one another. Jesus didn't preface any of his words with pointing out the differences in the colors of our skin, who we love, our genders, the body that you're experiencing this life in. Jesus didn't mention any of those things. His words were all about love. Not loving only based on certain factors. Not love based on perception. That perception that we're somehow different because we see the world through our own lens of perception. those perceptions being based on likely what I've been taught to believe or told to believe. So you see the difference. But these things must be brought to the forefront so that we can begin to work through perceptions that may not be completely accurate. Maybe you're even part of a group that moves through life with privilege. A privilege that not everyone has. And due to that privilege, haven't been really able to truly feel what it's like to view the world through the eyes of someone else or the lens of someone else. Will working through these things make us feel uncomfortable? Yeah, likely so. That's why a lot of us avoid it. We want to avoid those things that make us feel uncomfortable. Because when we do that, we start to become vulnerable, right? We're going to feel uncomfortable. But I always say, so what? This is part of our growing experience. This is part of what we are here for. Part of what we are here to experience. Part of those opportunities that allow us to grow and to become so much more and to experience life in such a deeper, truly meaningful way. But it's in that comfort, that discomfort, that we can begin change. It's where we can, like I mentioned earlier, view the world through the experiences of others. So I ask you now, are you ready to move through your perceptions? Are you ready to see things through a different lens? What about through the lens of the author? Are you perhaps ready to see the world as it really is? And what about spirituality? Are you ready to really understand what exactly community truly is? It's not you and it's not me. It's us. It's us, a collective of us, each and every one of us. And I don't care what any political leader says to us. Doesn't matter what side of the equation you're on. It doesn't matter. There's no you over there. There's no evil side. It's us. It's all us. And each and every one of us deserves to feel safe and deserves to feel a part of the community of us. And I wanted to read a quote I found. I find just random quotes online, and this is from somebody called Mark and Angel, which I assume is two people, but they say, set an example. Treat everyone with kindness and respect, even those who are rude to you, not because they are nice, but because you are. Namaste, my friends. And with that, I know this is normally the time that we move into our meditation, but I'd like to do something a little bit different today if you're willing. It may be one of those instances where we feel a little bit uncomfortable just because it's something different. And don't worry, I'm not about to, have everybody get up and, share your life's work or your life story. But what I would like to do, we do know that there was a massive hurricane and there's been a lot of devastation to people, in certain parts of our country. So what I would like to do today is, I know they're going to play soft music in the background. So I would like to ask everyone to, Jesus said in regards to prayer, he says, when two or more are gathered, oh my gosh, I'm a minister. I should remember all the exact quote. Oh, he said, when two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst of them. I knew I would remember that. So what I would like to do, because we're all gathered together in this space, whether we're online or physically in the building, I would like to ask everyone to, if you pray in words, to maybe send out some healing words to the people that are affected by the devastation. Or if you are a visual person like me, visualize yourself sending out, from the room, wherever you are, sending out healing to those people that were devastated by the hurricane. And I know it's going to be some moments of silence, but I just ask that we go within and just really remember those people and to offer them that healing and that prayer today. So if you will, just join me. Let's just close our eyes and just become comfortable in this moment. And just breathe into it. Just let our own worries go. Just to put them aside for just a little while. And to just allow ourselves to be present here and now. And as we're here, if you're a person that uses words, I just ask you to start to begin your own words of healing. Or if you're a person that's visual, maybe just join me in visualizing this just beautiful white light that's just starting to gather in the church sanctuary or in your home, wherever you are. And it's just this giant white light, and it's almost like a bubble just filled with healing energy. And imagine this white light just growing and expanding. It's filling your room, filling the neighborhood, your city, and just continuing to expand. And it's beginning to reach those that have been affected by the storm. Just visualize those people that are suffering right now, just enclosed by this beautiful white healing ball of energy. Helping them emotionally through this moment and physically, just helping to make sure that all of their physical needs are also being met. Food, shelter, finding lost loved ones that they haven't been able to make contact with. And I just ask that we sit here during this time and just allow our prayers and our meditations and our healing energy to just really enmesh into these communities. And for these people to be able to feel the love and the healing energy in the prayers that we're sending them in this moment. Perhaps there's even some affirmations you wish to send to them at this time. Words of love, words of healing, words of encouragement. Knowing that anything that they're going through at this moment also does affect us, because we truly are all one. I ask today that when we leave this brief meditation, this brief moment of prayer, I just encourage you to just take these prayers and these meditations and these healing thoughts with you, and just maybe just stop throughout the day and even throughout this next week and just continue to remember those that were affected and how they so desperately need to be reminded of their wholeness and their oneness and their sense of safety and to have their needs met. So I just encourage you to remember them and to stop and perhaps practice this exercise just as we continue to move through these times of healing for them. I encourage you all to just take a breath and just bring your awareness back to this space and back to this current moment. And just open your eyes when you're ready and close with "and so it is" and amen. And do continue to remember, as we go through this time in our country, this election period, no matter what happens, everything truly is well. That's one of the things that we practice here at Unity, and it's one of the things that I encourage you to remember. So you may be thinking, don't tell me to relax, but I'm going to encourage you to relax and take the time that you need to make sure that you practice your self-care and just to remember to breathe. Above all else, just breathe. Namaste.
As you remain in a meditative state, one big deep breath way down to the roots of your toes and back up into the ethers of spirit where they're refreshed, renewed, fulfilled. You may read along with me as we enter another phase of our meditation, or just listen. I am love. I am health. I am peace. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be healthy. I'm a child of God. I deserve nothing less. Today, I accept my healing of body, mind, and spirit. I forgive myself for the mistakes I made. I forgive all the people for whom I felt anger. I accept them because they could not be as I wanted. I release them and I free myself from the resentment forever. I cancel the past in the present to free my future. I deserve to enjoy the love of my loved ones. I stop judging myself and judging others forever. I now release all my pain, my mistakes, my illness, so spirit can transform it into health, love, and peace. I accept everything as it is now, and with patience to be finally healed. God, you are in me and I am in you. By your divine power and your love within me, I decide to heal my body, my mind, and my soul. I open my heart to your pure love that surrounds me with its radiant light, revitalizing every cell of my body. Every negative thought becomes positive, increasing myself in new life, the full of love and joy. I will share this love with all, communicating everything I feel. I wish to heal with all my heart and then to help others, thus fulfilling my mission of love and communication of love in this life. Thank you, universe, that already is. And now we move from prayer to our affirmation of prosperity. It's a time when those of us who feel Unity of Appleton as our spiritual home practice putting Spirit first in our financial life. This practice prospers the spiritual community we love and supports our own spiritual growth and prosperity. Please give whatever Spirit guides you to give, whether it's in person or electronically, whatever the amount is. Take that gift into your heart and bless it with your love. Feel free to bless the plate as it passes by. Let yourself feel grateful to God in you as your one source. And then please join in our affirmation of prosperity. Unity of Appleton is alive with the energy of Spirit in the flow of divine abundance and radiant with unlimited possibilities. Now say with me the celebration of giving and receiving. Divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source. With thanks from our hearts, from our minds, for the abundance that is metaphor in this plate, for all that God provides for each and every one of us. In the name of comfort, in the name of love, in the name of peace. Amen. Okay, it is time for announcements. Ooh, there's a preview of everything going on. Take it all in. It's there for you to read. Let's go on to the next one. Cultivating Grace on October 2nd, that's coming up this week. 1 o'clock on Wednesdays. Open yourself to a direct experience of divine presence coming alive from within you. Led by Deb Walker, we'll draw cards from the Cultivating Grace card deck by author and spiritual teacher Miranda McPherson. Experience relaxing into the ground of grace, receiving the blessings of grace, the transforming power of grace, and living the embodiment of grace. This is a free event, but a love donation for use of the facilities is appreciated. Okay. Next Sunday with Cheryl Davis McKernan, a blessing of our animals. Bring a picture of your pet. Or if you'd like an in-person hands-on blessing, Cheryl will meet your leashed or crated pet in the grassy area outside. Okay. This announcement comes from the Great Lakes Regional Conference. It's a message from Unity Worldwide Headquarters. Press the play button.
Greetings, friends. I'm Jim Blake, the CEO at Unity World Headquarters. It's always my pleasure to update you on what's been happening at UWH over the last year, and it's a good sign when I have almost too much to pack into one video. The latest and possibly greatest news is that as of September, we are returning to 24-hour coverage on the silent Unity telephone prayer lines. During the pandemic, we had to cut back the overnight shift due to limited staff and remote capabilities at the time. People could still call and hear a recorded prayer message, and they could still submit prayer requests online that were answered. Around-the-clock prayer vigil also continued. Although it's an expensive endeavor to staff the phones between midnight and 6 a.m., it's the wee hours when people seem to need the connection of real-time prayer support the most. So the phones at Silent Unity will be answered all night long going forward. As a reminder, you are always welcome to join Silent Unity in prayer through the online prayer vigil. In addition to the prayer vigil chapel on campus, this virtual site is where our remote prayer associates take turns praying continuously throughout the day and night for all the prayer requests that have been received. This year was the 100th anniversary of Daily Word, and we have celebrated all year long. We focused the 2024 calendar on the history of Daily Word. We honored Daily Word at Fillmore Festival in August, and we published a commemorative book with more than 200 messages from the past century. It will be a powerful addition to your library long after the anniversary year. But the big publishing news this year had to do with Unity Magazine. We acquired Spirituality and Health and blended the two magazines into a new version called Spirituality and Health, a Unity publication. It still has articles about spirituality with more emphasis on health and science. The magazine came with a website, email newsletters, and a robust advertising program that we are continuing. Sign up for the SNH newsletter and also take a look at the SNH website when you get a chance. It has fascinating articles and we'll be adding more, especially on interfaith topics. While we're talking about publishing, we have 2 new books coming out this fall. These were the winners of the Unity Books Contest last year. Headphones and Heartbreaks is written by 2 millennial women who used music and spiritual practice to recover from bad breakups. There's a playlist with all the songs that got them through. Then, Reverend David McClure in Spokane has written a book about how he and his wife Donna used Myrtle Fillmore's healing principles in their cancer journeys. You often tell us how much you enjoy using booklets in your ministries. We published another half a dozen new booklets this year. There's one more coming in November about the spiritual wisdom we learn from our pets. We also created a booklet for Black History Month this year called From Black Church to New Thought. Ministers tell us how they're combining their Black church traditions with New Thought teachings, and it has a playlist of the gospel music they love. Our product developer continues to come up with great ideas to put traditional Unity teachings in new packages. Have you tried the affirmation generator? You flip the pages to pick something to release and an affirmation to replace it, and nearly all of them work together. Also, James Dillett Freeman's Blessing for a Marriage is now a wall hanging. And this one I am super excited about. We have our own Unity Lift the Flap Advent Calendar for the coming holiday season. Well, that's it for prayer and publishing. The third pillar of our mission at UWH is Unity Village, and it's been busier than ever. We welcomed Unity and New Thought audiences to the Village this year with over 25 mission-based events and retreats. They included the UWM Convention, the People of African Descent New Thought Group, the Fillmore Festival, and several Come Home to Unity retreats. Those were just the ones Unity sponsored. In addition, this year, we'll be managing nearly 300 events ranging from retreats to weddings to memorial services to corporate trainings and even social events like birthdays and baby showers. People are coming to the Village for everything. Soon, we will also be able to offer space in the R.D. Goppert Event Center. We have refurbished the 50-year-old Activity Center to provide a large venue, not only for Unity events, but for the community. We're putting a small outdoor lift just outside the event center to carry those differently abled up to the courtyard and fountains. We celebrated the first anniversary of the beautiful new Labyrinth with a 70-person Labyrinth retreat on World Labyrinth Day. We also built and installed a beautiful rainbow bridge near the trailhead where people can come to honor their pets. And we are starting to refurbish one of the historic cottages to be named in honor of the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. It's right next to the other Airbnbs we've already opened. Another way Unity continues to grow is in the digital realm. We have a new system called Virtuous. It allows us to easily contact donors, subscribers, and anyone in our database to keep them feeling connected to Unity. For example, a new subscriber to Spirituality and Health might get a series of emails introducing them to other facets of Unity, like the booklets or Daily Word or even Silent Unity. We've been doing this already, but the new system makes it a breeze to set this up or other automated series of emails. That way, no matter which doorway someone comes through Unity, we can help them understand more about who we are, what we offer, and it's customized to their interests. We are also making a major investment in digitizing our archives. A company called History IT is going piece by piece through thousands of letters, talks, videos, and tapes to preserve them for the future, no matter how technology changes. The first parts of this digital museum went live this year with the Myrtle Fillmore collection and part of the Eric Butterworth collection. The Charles Fillmore collection will be coming later this fall. This will make the full Unity archives available online to the public and to scholars and students from all over the world. We will continue to have our physical archives too, and this is something we've talked about for years. Unity Village is now becoming a hub for all the New Thought archives. The Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation leased space on campus and moved here from Colorado over the summer. We are also now in talks with INTA to move their Addington Archives collection here as well. There's always something fun happening at UWH. It's been an exciting year with some major projects coming to fruition and others just getting underway. We couldn't do it without your support and prayers, and I hope that what we are doing at headquarters in turn supports you and your work in your ministries. As always, thank you for all you do to make a difference in the world with these powerful teachings. May peace and blessings be upon you, your ministries, and your communities. Namaste.
Okay. And now our prayer of protection. If you are able, stand, raise your hands. Wiggle those fingers full of light and love and energy. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Okay, our final song.
you.